blog, my Facebook pages, Twitter handles, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Google+. You can find me pretty much anywhere. And there's myself. So I am Tanya Helps, for those of you who don't know me, the founder of Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I'm a 2017 Intuit Firm of the Future runner-up. I'm a certified professional bookkeeper, designated certified professional bookkeeper through the IPBC, a Black Swan alumni, a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, advanced certified pro advisor, a volunteer mentor through Futurepreneur Canada. I've been providing bookkeeping and income tax services since 1997, working with QBO rather reluctantly at first, since 2012. I embraced technology, the cloud technology, in 2014 and implemented value pricing in 2015. And I haven't looked back since. So let's see here. So just a little bit about my story. So initially I chose to specialize in QuickBooks Desktop as my niche was a small entrepreneur and QuickBooks seemed more targeted to my market. I decided at that point I would rather specialize in one rather than be okay and functional in multiple different software. So I reactively started supporting QuickBooks Online in 2012, just simply due to the demand of some of my clients, but I really used it like the desktop product. And I spent the next year afterwards focusing on learning all about cloud accounting, apps, value pricing, and how I could transform my practice from data entry to data management, which is what we do now. So I implemented everything I learned, and within a year, I tripled my sales and on target to double the sales again this year. Clients liked what I offered, and some like-minded clients started to spread the word. It freed up more time for me to be able to utilize all that was now accessible to me to help my clients grow their businesses, which of course in turn helps myself. And I refound the passion, as let's face it, what we do or what we did was mostly data entry, boring, at least to myself. It's not really what I was passionate about. My background is not initially bookkeeping and taxes. My background started as customer service. And I became an Intuit sponsored Black Swan in 2016, mentoring under Ron Baker through the ITBC Black Swan program. And now my practice has grown from just me to myself and 3 employees, and we're actually interviewing as we speak for another employee. And now I can work anywhere that there's internet. We were actually looking at booking a cruise, and I was going to be able to work from the Lido deck because they had an internet package for $30 a day. So imagine if you could get yourself set up so that you could be working, a couple hours a day from the Lido deck in the middle of the Caribbean on a cruise ship and still be able to do your business. I mean, it opens up just a world of possibilities. So although I chose QB products, that was just my tool of choice. And the value pricing formula that I discussed today, you can actually use it with any accounting software package, traditional, desktop, or cloud-based. Cloud-based, you'll be able to make the most out of it and be working more efficient, but it will work with any desktop as well. And when you use the compatible cloud-based software and integrate the apps and the time-saving tips that I reviewed today, you can actually become so much more efficient and substantially increase your bottom line. So why value price? With hourly billing, we're actually penalized for our increased experience, for becoming faster at processing, for having increased knowledge, more certifications, being an expert in our field, leveraging the current technology, offering the client more value, coming up with custom solutions for each client. If we're employees, we'd actually be rewarded for all of this. So I like to call value pricing right sizing. It's the right client with the right solutions for the right price. So right sizing is a win-win situation. What the client gains is agreeing and knowing in advance what solutions we'll provide, agreeing and knowing in advance what price they're willing to pay for these solutions. And then we can also start to teach the client to right price their services or right size their services increasing the value that we provide to them. So, it comes a full 360. So with right sizing, we gain agreeing in advance as to what solutions we'll provide, agreeing in advance as to what price our clients will pay for the services, knowing what our monthly recurring revenue will be, being paid in advance for our work, and incentives for us to gain more certifications and to leverage the most current software and complete the work in the agreed upon time frame, because we're no longer penalized for our speed. Excuse me. So anyone can right size using any software. So right sizing, again, as I said earlier, will work if you're using any desktop software. However, by leveraging the most current cloud technology, you can increase your productivity while decreasing the time you're working on the file, all while still charging the same fixed rate, as you've got the client still obtaining the agreed upon outcome. And the whole idea behind this concept is to have the client focused on the outcome rather than how long or how you achieve the desired results for them. So what tools do I use and how do I use them? I use QBO as my main accounting software. I use 17 Hats for my quotes, contracts, workflows, and automatic emails. HubDoc to pull a bank statements and have clients submit receipts, via the mobile app to snap pics or email forward. Rotessa for pre-authorized withdrawal. We offer options, on the 1st or 15th of the month, and I collect advance payments. So October's payment for October's work is due October 1st, comes out of their bank account, or, if I basically give them the choice of 1st or the 15th, because I want 2 payment dates a month. So they do have a little bit of choice for that. And then Invoice Sherpa, because Invoice Sherpa actually sends the invoices and does AR follow-up. And I use that for about 15% of my grandfather clients, and then my tax clients, my one-off clients, type of thing, anybody who's not on a regular monthly bookkeeping package. And then I do offer an AR package as part of my plan options, as part of solving my clients' pain points. So these are just the tools I use. Again, you could use many of them. I know instead of 17 Hats, Dubsado is popular, Insightly is popular. A lot of people like Receipt Bank. It just works best for me and the clients. I'm a software minimalist, so I like using as little as possible. So if I can find one software that handles multiple functions, that works for me. Rotessa, again, Pluto is quite popular. And Invoice Sherpa, it's the only AR app that I know, but if you haven't seen it, it's free for pro advisors and absolutely wonderful. Let's see. Okay, so time-saving cloud accounting software features. Now, again, this is more geared towards Intuit. I know Xero has some of these, but because I use QBO and not Xero, if you're a Xero user and I'm off on any of this, I do apologize. But there's the bank rules. So items such as bank fees, interest charges, automatic loan payments, daily merchant deposits for clients with a non-integrating POS or an old-fashioned till. And I set those up to offset these against the monthly receipts. Recurring transactions. For recurring items or as templates for frequently used journal entries. So for example, a manual payroll entry when you're using external software. So even if it's an easy to remember journal entry, if I can do it quicker by just pulling it up, changing the numbers and hitting enter, I have it set up that way. So the whole purpose of the value pricing is to educate, to show the values. You need to educate the client on exactly what it is that you're providing them, how it's going to work to their benefit. You need to show them the value. So show them the value that you're bringing forth to them. Again, how it can make their life easier, how it can solve their pain points, and how you can go ahead and do that with your knowledge and your expertise. You need to go through their options with them. Definitely giving clients options. That's why when I give them their options, I want them to choose automatic payment from the bank account, but I give them an option. Do they want the payment to come in on the 1st or the 15th? Clients like options. And with the price plan, definitely I suggest that you offer 3 price plan options. So again, we're going to go through some of that. Software costs. You should take into account your software costs if you're giving them a full fixed price that has everything included. The time. Yes, we definitely do need to count the time, but we can do this without timesheets and without tracking time. So I'll show you how that we can do that really simple. And profitability. You need to take into account whether this is going to be profitable for you or not. And then what is your bottom line? You have one chance to come forth and give the clients the price and make an impression. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you know what your bottom line walkaway price is before you talk to them. Otherwise, you could end up quoting too high, or you could end up letting yourself get negotiated down. So I never let myself get negotiate on price. I'll negotiate on services included in with that rather than the price. And I'll show you that in an example that we go through as to exactly how I would do that. So Ron Baker suggests in his book, Implementing Value Prices, that you actually value the following items by the following percentages. So we take into account, this is basically the formula that I use. It's your hours times your base rate to start with. Your fixed price, you should add 10 to 20% as a value surcharge for having a fixed price. The clients will pay that. It's worth it for them to be able to know and budget exactly to the penny what's coming out of their bank account. Change orders. You should include 5 to 10% for change orders. So what the change order means is, you know, those little one-offs that they might call you to ask you to do a little bit extra work. Maybe they're going for some refinancing and they need some extra reports. Maybe there's, you know, something extra they've, you know, gone and purchased a bunch of reports, laid off a bunch of people, anything like that, that there are some changes that will happen one-off. So include a little bit, 5 to 10%. If there's anything large, it should be built into your contract that if there's anything outside of the scope, that you will bill extra for that and you will agree on a price ahead of time before doing the work. So that's your escape clause. But if it's just something small in there, you know, 5 to 10% kind of gives you a coverage and a buffer for that. A value guarantee. We're already guaranteeing our work. I pretty much guarantee that each one of us is already guaranteeing our work. And if we do something wrong, we're going to fix it. But if you think about that, if people go out and they buy something, you know, they buy a computer, they buy a warranty plan, that's basically the value guarantee. It guarantees them if something goes wrong, it'll be fixed and they don't have to pay anything out of pocket. Well, you can charge extra for that in the world of retail, but we've never charged extra for that in the world of what we do, but it's exactly the same thing. If something goes wrong, we're going to go in and fix it. Obviously, if the client goes in and messes the file up, that's completely different, but we're going to guarantee our work. If the software messes up, has a bit of a glitch, we're not going to go ahead and charge the client billable hours for something like that. 9 times out of 10, I would bet that each and every one of us just kind of suck it up and just, you know, go ahead and go in and fix it. So we should be charging for that. So you throw in 15 to 30% and you let the clients know they don't have to worry because we have a service guarantee built in. Payment terms, 5 to 10%. This will cover any merchant charges, any extra bank fees, and you can offer flexible payment options to clients. Maybe that means offering them the automatic debit from their bank account on the 1st or the 15th. Maybe that means going a step further, and if you've got a client who's seasonal, offering them, maybe let's say most of their work is done within 6 months, offer them to have double payments over 6 months and 0 payments over the other 6 months, even though they might still have a little bit of workflow coming in and you'll still be keeping the books. So there's some questions coming here. What's a reasonable base rate range? When we actually get into the example, I'll be going through that. We'll actually be digging in and working on some quotes, so don't worry about that. Excuse me. And maybe this means with the payment terms, maybe this even means that if you've got somebody who you've done some catch-up work, maybe letting them pay 50% of the catch-up work up front and then taking the other 50% and rolling that into their monthly payments over the next, you know, over their first 12 months if they sign into a 12-month plan with you. So again, the payment terms, something flexible like that. And trust me, the clients will definitely appreciate the flexibility and that will help you gain the loyalty. Unlimited access, 10 to 20%. Now I say this, and this terrified me. When I first started putting that in, Ron told me to do it, so I did it, and I was terrified. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to spend so much time with clients that it's just not going to be worth it. How am I ever going to make any money? I'll tell you, the right client may take a little bit more when you're setting them up, but the right client afterwards, if they're the right fit for you, they will not be a pain in hounding you. I have clients that I have to reach out to because I really don't hear from, other than them sending everything through HubDoc. I may not hear from them for a few months because everything is just going so smoothly. So I find that there are times when I'm reaching out to them and saying, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while, just checking in to see how everything is doing and just wanted to say hi, because there's just nothing. Or they'll shoot me off a quick email, because once things are kind of going nice and smooth, they're only in touch with me if there's an issue. Now, I have had my clients that under that unlimited access took advantage of that. But once I stood back and actually took a look, I realized very quickly they were the wrong client for me, and I actually did get rid of them. And I knew they were the wrong client for many other reasons. It just was not a good fit for me for what they wanted, or maybe I wasn't charging them an appropriate price for the amount of work that they had expected. So unlimited access with the right client, is definitely not a scary thing. Then you need to take into account your apps and your add-ons. I'm going to show you how to calculate your hours on the balance sheet. And then we've got the gut price. So this is the formula right here that I use. And this means that you're valuing your expertise at anywhere from 45% to 90%, and you're charging an appropriate surcharge for this. So I sat there, looked at all of this, and I was really overwhelmed, and I thought, I need to simplify this. I'm a formula person. I need to find an easy way to come up with this, and this is why we're all here, because I was able to successfully do that. And it's flexible enough that this would work for pretty much anybody. I have yet to have a scenario that we have not been able to work out. So if I've got, people that call me, we'll get down into some nitty gritty, and we can pull for some pretty custom scenarios in them. So right now, we're just going to dig right in and pull up the sheet and go through a demo. So this is my value pricing template. I'll just give you a quick run through of this, and then we'll start to dig in. So this is what I started with. Here was my front page. These are some sample plans, a silver, gold, and a Cadillac plan. Here are some things for accounts receivable, payable, receipts, like processing receipts, different things that I might offer in the different plans. So I've got them ticked off what I might offer in these plans. So I use this just as a base to start. I did used to print this off to clients. Now I don't. I use it through my 17 hats, and I go in. And the only thing I really use this sheet for right now is the pricings, just to be able to get a feel for my pricings. But it still is really good when you're starting out, just to kind of see, okay, what might be some start plans. And then, of course, we go down, payroll, year-end taxes, software, support and communication. Obviously, you're seeing here, the more you pay, the more you're going to get. And then down here, I've actually included a spot for cleanup work. So as I say at this point, the only thing I still use this sheet for is to go in here, see the cleanup work price, and see the price on top here in the monthly price. And then we've got the worksheet tab over here at the bottom. And the worksheet, this is actually where we're putting in points. So I've narrowed it down to a point system. And so you can see here, we've got, some main software included. You've got some additional items, and you've got a spot here that you can do some cleanup work at the top. I'm just trying to, there we go. So this is where you would do, calculate your cleanup work. And here is where you would calculate. So when we start to work from here, the basic items down, like all of these items here, your basic items is included in all three packages. So if we pop back at the front, whatever goes in that section is included in all three, the silver, the gold, and the Cadillac price. Anything that's in the standard item is included in the top two packages. So any points you put in that section are only included in the gold and the Cadillac. Under the worksheet, here under the premium add-ons are only included in the top package. So anything in there will only be included in this price here, the Cadillac price. Now, I want to point out that the points that you change here have nothing to do with these X's. Again, these X's, like you can just, delete these. These aren't frozen. These do not change prices as you've seen. These are just a visual to see, and same thing with here. You can just delete these. It doesn't change anything. They're just a visual to give you an idea to kind of when you're starting to build your plans. So then we look at the rate sheet. This is actually where everything kind of happens in here. And so it's basically the information on the rate sheet times the information on the worksheet gives you the price at the end here. So your rate sheet is where you're going to customize. So if you are using QBO, you can do that. Let's say you're not a QBO user and you're a zero user. You can put in 0. If you look and we pop back to the worksheet, up here it changes to 0. So everything here is going to pre-fill. So I use QBO, so let's just go back to QBO Essentials. So, there we go. So I've got different samples in here. So this is, again, you can customize this. I've started off with the current wholesale and retail prices of the apps. For the pricing, anything in blue will affect the price. Here's the plan name, so you can change the plan name. So if you want it platinum, again, when you pop back to the worksheet, you see it's no platinum. Excuse me. So, and then if there's nothing, so float, I don't have any price in the blue sheet. I might have, let's say, I'm not sure offhand what float is, but let's say it's $19.99. This means nothing because there's nothing in the blue sheet. If I walk up here and I put a point in float, it will not calculate because there is nothing in that blue field. So it's important to fill in the blue field for what you're filling in. And if not, change it to enter, enter an at name here or, to be advised or something like that so that you don't use it if there's nothing in here. Again, there's WagePoint, HubDoc. Here's the receipt bank. Now, this is based on the old receipt bank pricing. I know now that they have the unlimited offer. Again, you can sit here and put, if you want to put, so many transactions. If you just want to do a flat price and say, yeah, it's $20 per person, then just put receipt bank $20 per person and, get rid of all the rest of these so that they don't show up when you pop over in a worksheet so that they just don't show up at all. So you can see that it's quite customizable for this. Right now, there's a glitch and we can't get this fixed that do not use. These fields here, for some reason, stopped working. And the form is locked down and I've lost the passwords from the programmer who did this. So right now, these fields don't work. I'm not going to bother having a new programmer go in and do this because what's happening is with this template, we're actually building an online system, which will be ready to launch, I'm hoping, next month in November, in which case that will make this, I will no longer be distributing the template. So there's really no point in putting money into fixing this when we're going to be launching it online. But as long as you've got the internet, you'll be able to log in to access everything online. So there's kind of no point with that. So we've just got this X'd out so that they're not used. So if you take a look over here, yeah, do not use. Okay, and then we've got client quotes. I don't use this section anymore, but I've still kept this in because some people who use the template actually like using this. You can just fill in the date, name, phone number, the address, the before price, or the before HST price, and additional details. Because this is a template, you can't, keep saving. There's the macros in the back. Don't let you to continue saving as different Excel forms. So I usually just take this, print this with whatever this is, and have a printed sheet that I keep only for my records, that I actually have the price in there and the client's name on top if I want to keep something. As I say, I use 17 hats to put everything in, so I've got the quote digitally saved there for them to send out. If you wanted to do that, you could do that. Or again, if you wanted to use this to put in details, like, you gave, there was, 4 points at the base rate, like 2 points, mid rate, and 6 points top rate. So what I mean by this, by the points, is if we go back here on the worksheet is here. So each one of these is a point. So if you did 4 points, and then I think I did 2, and then 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is what I'm meaning is the price. And again, the price is based on the number of points and then maybe the software that you picked in. So that's something, if you didn't want to use this, you could do that. And then somebody, QBO, HubDoc. So you could do something like that and go ahead and, put the price, for which package if you wanted to use the sheet. I don't use it anymore, but some people like to use it. So I've just left it in. So we're just going to go through some tips here before we actually dig in and start working with sample prices. So again, the fixed or value pricing tips. Again, these rates are built so that they're in the middle range of Ron's suggested value surcharges, which, if you remember, are 45 to 90%. So the difference between that is, brings it in at 67.5%. So basically, whatever price you put here is going to have a 67.5% surcharge to your base rate. So this is your value added. This is, again, the extra services that you're getting. So I do recommend, of course, that you do have leniency. So if you've got somebody you think, they're a little more price sensitive, you can definitely drop it down. If you say, they're not as price sensitive, maybe you want to add a bit of a PITA fee, you can add a percentage surcharge. So it is recommended that you have a little bit of leniency because you do need to take the client into mind. So based on how you perceive the client values your services. I also recommend that your walkaway price is no less than 15% off the recommended price plan because you want to make sure that you're still making money. You don't want to, again, let yourself get negotiated down too much. That really defeats the whole purpose. And then once you start to dip below that level, you're actually going to, you could start to lower your regular hourly rate and end up making more if you bill hourly. So there's really no point to changing over to this. And always price the lead when you're not with them. That way you can make sure that you take everything into account and you're comfortable with the amount you're quoting them. What we do here is Leanne and I sit down and we quote together. So we sit down, go through, we kind of do this backwards to forwards, talk to each other, make sure we're not leaving anything out, and we send out questionnaires, and based on the questionnaires that they give us and the answers that they've given us, figure all of this out. And then we don't talk to them and give them a price until the next day, because I want to sit there and think about it and think, okay, what if they negotiate this? What if they negotiate that? What is the lowest price I'm willing to go to? I give my walk away rate pretty much right up front because I don't want to sit there and haggle. I don't want to wonder, if I had have come down that, could I have kept them? And I don't want to negotiate my price. I'll negotiate my services, not my price. So I basically come up with my walk away price, and that's the price that I give them right up front. Everybody's different. I know Ron doesn't necessarily agree with that philosophy. He would say, wonder, how much did you leave on the table? Maybe I didn't do a good job of feeling them out, but that's just my philosophy, that I like to do that, to know that if I've lost them, I'm comfortable with that loss. So if the customer wants to negotiate further, negotiate the services. Maybe have the client do more or take some services out of the package. They may not value the services you offer. Review what it is that you're providing to them and what's important to them. You may have included items that they really don't care about, and simply by changing that around to services that are maybe of equal value to you, you may increase your value to them. And this is the far most important lesson to take away from today. Not everyone will value what you do. You need to determine your minimum and stick with it. Now, I'm just going to tell you a little bit of an anecdote story here to hope that this hits home with you. And this was my eye-opening moment as to not everyone values what I do. One of my best friends since grade 10, so we go back 30 years anyway, she knows what I do. Actually, I think we go back over 30 years. Anyway, not good for the math today. But so she knows what I do. I thought she valued my services. I was working out some prices for actually helping her with her boyfriend's company that he was starting up, giving them a lot of free advice, and that was fine because I don't really like to do business with friends. So I gave them some free advice, told them the directions to go and to get everything set up. And then so she called me and she says, okay, now that this is all set up, we want you to do the bookkeeping. We know that you're going to do it proper, that there's not going to be any issues with Revenue Canada. What's it going to cost? So I came up with a price of $300 a month. Now, this is a taxi company that was grossing $7,000 a month and netting 40% of that. $300 a month, I think, was extremely reasonable considering the amount of work involved. I would have charged higher for anybody else, but because they were a friend, that's what I gave them. And she actually kind of chuckled at me. She says, Tanya, she says, that's a lot. She says, you're not doing very much for that. So I said, okay, and we'll take it a step back. I said, okay, I'm willing to teach you how to do your day-to-day entries in QuickBooks Online. We'll set that up. I'll do a monthly review, check everything. I'll do the HST, I'll do the reconciling, and I'll do the double checking of what you've entered. And I'll do that for $250 a month. That was my minimum. And she laughed. Her response to me was, Tanya, all you do is add a couple of numbers together. That's ridiculous. And I was like, wow. So I realized right there that if she did not value what I did, how can I expect everybody else out there to value what it is that I do? So this is really important to remember, and why you need to determine your walk-away price right away, because there are some people that could negotiate you right down to nothing because they don't see the value in what you do. So let them move on to somebody else then. Because if you start to negotiate, they'll start to bring you down, which is, again, why I negotiate with services. Because my value is not changing. The services are. And hopefully that'll change the value to the customer. But if they don't see the value in my value, I am not willing to take them on. So I will happily refer them elsewhere. So pricing the apps. You're really not going to make a lot of money on the apps, and that will increase your price. And your value should be on the services you provide. But you should at least make sure that you're covering the cost of your apps. And keep in mind, some apps give different pricing levels depending on the number of clients that you have with them. So it is recommended that you use your base price, as if you have customers that you remove from those apps, you actually could lose your discount. And round prices that are rounded to the dollar for the monthly price, because rounded numbers are more pleasing to the ear. So if you take a look at here, this is why I've got the wholesale and the retail. I just charge the wholesale. As you can see here, I just put in the wholesale. I don't want to make money on the apps. I want to know that if I lose that client, I've lost them, not because of the apps. I've lost them for any reason, and I've given them the fairest price that I can. That said, HubDoc, you see I charge $25. I do actually pay $20 a month for my HubDocs because I've had so many clients on them. So what's happened is with this, if I end up losing clients for whatever reason or the other, and my price drops down on them, I lose my discount, I can end up being charged $25 per file on my HubDoc account. So that's the only time that I would actually charge more than I'm being charged, is if they're discounting because of the number of clients that you have, because we don't want to be out. So I would definitely keep that in mind. Monitoring an accounts receivable and payroll. So should you decide to monitor your AR or payroll, don't forget to include the cost of the app that you're using for these tasks, most definitely. And your variance. I've built in a variance because with true value pricing, some clients might value your services slightly lower, possibly even due to budgetary reasons. But these clients in all other aspects would be a good fit for you. Alternatively, some of these clients might value your services more and be able to pay a bit more. So as you should take the client into account as well as the work, the apps, add-ons involved, this pricing module has used, again, the midpoint of the values recommended by Ron Baker. Therefore, in order to remain profitable, you do have leniency for every client that you use a minus variance. You can take a client that you see if they value a little bit more and they've got, a bigger budget, then maybe you can add a bit of a plus variance to it. And then using the variance boxes. So they're in the worksheet, and all you do is you enter the percentage you want to add to the total in the variance plus box. Again, we recommend up to 15%, but hey, they're your rates. You can do what you wish. Should you wish to lower the price, enter the percentage amount in the variance minus box. Again, we recommend no more than 50% in order to remain profitable. And you only need to enter the whole numbers and no minus signs or percentage signs, and it'll total into the calculation. And the client, even if you're pricing in front of them, they won't be aware of what you're doing, even if they are watching you. But again, I do not recommend that. I always recommend that you price them once you've collected all the information you need to give them a price. Maybe set up an appointment or a meeting for the next day and price them in person, or at least over the phone. Have a conversation with them and then let them know what you're including in the price. Build that up first before you hit them the price, so that way they can see the value. So on the base sheet, we've got mostly everything filled in. The only other thing is the base rate. So what your base rate should be is your hourly rate before you started value pricing. If you had an hourly rate and then you already inflated it because you started value pricing and you put that in here, it will inflate your rate even higher, because again, it adds that 67% on top of whatever base rate goes in here. So a $35 an hour is really a $58 an hour rate that we're passing out. So keep that in mind. So this is $35. That might seem very low to some people, but I'm in a rural area, small area, highly price sensitive area. So if I'm pricing somebody locally, this is what I use. This, is actually really kind of going up to 40 now, but that's what I use. If I'm pricing somebody in Toronto, I might use 75, because Toronto, we can gain more. So again, this is easy for you to just pop in, do a change for whatever area you're pricing, and then pop back out. So let's just go into the 40 for now. So our worksheet, how we use this, and this is basically, other than picking the software that we're using, which I use my QBO and HubDoc with everybody. So other than those, we just put basically a point for things off the balance sheet. So this area is for catch-up work. So let's say we've got somebody that comes to us and they say, you know what, I've got 6 months of catch-up work. I want to price on my catch-up work on top of everything for staying current. So I won't do catch-up work for somebody unless I'm going to get them to stay current first off. I don't want them to get used to doing catch-up work. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in helping them get caught up and stay caught up. So if they're agreeable to that, then I will price them on their catch-up work. So let's say we'll go 6 months. And let's say this person has, 2 bank accounts, 1 credit card, and maybe they've got some payroll and they've got HST. So each of these points basically equates to an hour of work. So if you think about it, and don't think about it with the new technology and the software that you have, because again, as we talked about earlier, we're not going to let the client gain and let ourselves get penalized because of the software that we have access to. So, if you keep your books nice and clean and use the bank rules and QBO, a reconcile most times takes minutes now. So think about it the old-fashioned way. How long did it take to reconcile? Maybe probably about an hour for a bank account. Some longer, some shorter. And if you've got 2 accounts, let's say a savings account that they don't use as much, maybe that's going to offset because their checking account is a big long checking account. So if they had, maybe only a 1 or 2 page checking account and 1 or 2 transactions in a savings account, I would probably discount that as flat. And this is where the flexibility can come into play that you're looking at, again, think 1 point per 1 hour. Payroll, about an hour a month on payroll. If they've got a lot of employees, heck, maybe put in 2 hours a month. And then your sales tax. So this isn't quarterly. Again, this is monthly. So if they're a quarterly filer on their sales tax, this is again 1 hour a month. So, which if you're, doing the proper bookkeeping, keeping everything up to date, it's not going to take you more than an hour a month because you're already doing those entries anyway. So for that backup work, let's just take a quick peek over down here, $2,100. Now, that might sound like a lot to some of you. You might think, wow, that sounds like a lot for the client. Maybe they're not going to like that. Let's back that out. $2,100 divided by the 6 months is $350 a month. Do you want that client to, again, think, hey, letting my work pile up is a good thing? No. If you make it desirable for them to do that and say, hey, it's cheaper for me to get my work done once every 6 months rather than monthly. I mean, there's just no point. You're encouraging the bad habits. So, if you work that out, $350 a month for, how many hours of work do we figure? 1, 2, 3, 4, for 5 hours a month. That's really not so bad. Now let's take that same client and let's take a look at what it would cost them to do monthly. So let's just say, and these are just some samples. Again, all of these can be changed. You can just type over. It doesn't affect the price. It doesn't affect anything. These are just some samples just to kind of get you thinking of certain things that you might charge for. And again, keeping in mind the formula is 1 point is equivalent to 1 hour. So if there's something that's not on here, if you think of it in time, how long do you think it would take you? Assign 1 point per hour, and you can put it anywhere. So let's say we're talking to this client, and again, because we're in a rural area, we get a lot where they're not using any type of online software system now. They might be coming from an old general ledger system type of thing. Or they might have had their old bookkeeper come and actually pick up and drop off the receipts to them, so they haven't even had to leave. So if they say to me, here's what I've got now, here's what I want, I like to give the 3 prices. I like to price them for exactly what they've got now with somebody else, kind of where I think they should be, and maybe somewhere in the middle. That's just kind of just to start with some of the more traditional ones. So let's say this person says, you know what? My current bookkeeper, I like that they drop everything off and pick it up. I'm going to give a point for that. That's time taking out of my day that I could be productive doing work. They've got their 2 bank accounts, their 1 credit card, and their sales tax. Now, it doesn't say anything about payroll here. Payroll is down here, but if we know that they want their payroll handled by us, I would put a point for the payroll here. Because if you turn around and put a point for the payroll here, the payroll is only going to show up in that top package. So you can, again, use that because some people might want to do their own payroll. So you might say, here's if you do your payroll, here's one price, here's a price if I do your payroll. So again, kind of get into that mindset. So maybe, we've got that. So maybe we do have the payroll. So instead of line of credit, I'll just change that to payroll. And cash on hand, if they did a lot of cash on hand purchases, then I might use that because, again, rural areas, we get that a lot. But no, this person says, no, everything goes through the business bank account and it's all business. So that's great. So now we take a look in the second point here for 1 point for everything here. So processing the receipts. So we'll take a look at this, and we've got 1 point for 50 receipts. So again, it's about an hour to process 50 receipts, which is reasonable. So let's say he said, you know what, yeah, he's got an average of 50 receipts a month. But because he's dropping them off to us, we're scanning. And again, we use HubDoc. I want every single receipt to be attached to QBO. So we're using that in the system. So now we have to scan it. That takes time for myself or one of my staff to do it. And this person, because they're not using the technology, they don't want to set up a manual entry, no bank fee, because they didn't do that with their existing person. So we're just going to put a point there. And then I just usually kind of throw in a point for everything just to see the difference for the top one. So I may take a look and say, okay, oh, let's see here. Maybe they want their personal income tax done and I've already priced that. So maybe we'll include a point for that. And they're corporate, so we don't have to worry about a T2125. So let's pop over to the client sheet and see what comes up with. So when we look up top here, these are the prices. $468.92. Now, what have I done in that $468.92? I didn't include processing and scanning receipts. So really, the $468.92 could be looked at, other than the 1 point for picking up and dropping off. That could be looked at. That's pretty much reconciling. That's not really including the processing of receipts. The minimum price here, this is where we've got to process the receipts in working with the bank feed. So that's really this one. So this is kind of really where they're looking at a starting point. And then this $1,098 would just be, hey, if you want to pay the highest package, I'll give you service on everything. There you go, there's that price. So that looks high. So I would talk to them and I would start with this one because this is what they said that they want, that their existing bookkeeper offers. So I would say, okay, based on what you've asked me, here's this price. Keep in mind, this is everything using the new online system. Here's the benefits. I would expect for them to kind of go silent. And if they don't respond and don't tell me that that's high, I would ask them how they feel about that. And this is where I'm showing you can negotiate with services. So I would say to them, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's pretty high? And I'm expecting them to say yes. If they say no, wow, let's lock that sale down. But if they're saying yes, which I expect them to say yes, or I would lead them to that, I say, okay, let's go back and let's see what's really important. If you use, I see you've got a smartphone in your hand, I can set you up an app that you can take a picture and send the receipt to me as you get it. This is how my system works. We can take a point off for that. I'm processing your payroll, so you don't have to worry about any of that. If you do that, I now don't have to scan receipts. We're taking another point off. If we set up your bank information, which you can set it up, I don't need to take a look at your password or anything, and it will download your transactions only. So now we're getting a copy of your statement through HubDoc, and it's downloading your transactions so that I can actually work with your account daily as you submit your receipts, which is how I work and how everything is intended to work for you. And this way, if you're missing receipts, I can catch it right away. I can let you know at the end of every week what receipts were missing or what receipts you may have forgotten to get to me. So we take that out. And this is ideally where I want them to be anyway. So let's pop back and take a look. That's just brought that down to $468.92. Now, I wouldn't actually give them that. I might say $470, which is why I say, if you're going to use a sheet, just use it as a range. Now, and then they may say, well, you know what? How difficult is it to do payroll? Maybe I want to learn to do the payroll myself. Great, let's take that out. That brings it down to $398. So I might say $400 a month. So again, let's take this and kind of go backwards. You've got your $350 a month for the 6 hours. It's still roughly the same number of hours, but we've also got the software included in here as well. You're still going to have to do ROEs, if they've got people leave, so you're still going to have some of that other stuff to do. So now let's take a look back and add up the number of points. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is probably not going to take more than 5 hours a month. And even if it did, so let's backtrack here. So let's take the 400, take out the cost of the $13.50 for the QBO, take out the $25 for your HubDoc, we're left with $361.50. If it is really going to take, again, about 5 hours a month on that file for what they've given you, divided by 5, that's actually an average of $72 an hour. Or we can even kind of go backwards. The 400 less 1350 less 25, divided by the $40 an hour. That's 9 hours worth of work. So you're gaining 4 hours as a buffer in case there is a little bit of extra, and then that's your value bonus, so to speak. So again, let's say this with the bank account, that there was really, their checking account is not that big and their savings account is so small, and you say, you know what, I can do both of them, for under an hour. Great. Take that point out and pop back in and see what this does to the price. So you can see that you can get quite flexible with that, as long as you're keeping in mind at one point is an hour. Let me just see here. There's a question here that I've got. So when you talk to your clients about the initial price, are you face-to-face? And if so, do you have a spreadsheet to give them the updated price? No, I'm not face-to-face necessarily with them. I may be if they're local, but because I'm cloud, I do a lot of dealings with people elsewhere in the province. So I may just be on the phone with them, and no, I don't give them the sheet. I work out all of these kind of samples ahead of time based on the information that I've gathered. And if I do need more information, I'll actually call them, ask the extra information, and I'll work this out ahead of time. So I'll have my prices. So if I print out this sheet, this front sheet, the client sheet, this is just for my information. I might kind of have some notes on there. What I use to send them and to give them the price is once we've talked about it and they say, okay, yeah, I really kind of like where we ended up on that middle one, I will turn around and I will send them a quote through 17 Hats, which actually gives them the options we discussed. So I'll let them know I am including all the options we discussed. However, the one that you liked the most is, option whatever. But this way they still are given those options. Excuse me. I may talk to somebody, like have this up. It's very rare that I will have this up, but if they throw something at me last minute, I might kind of have this up and play with the points, but they're not seeing what I'm doing. They're not seeing everything. What I do tell them is that my price is based on a formula, which takes into account, I know from the information they've given me, how long it should take me to work on their file and to do everything they're asking me to do, and what my costs are. I take a look at that. I know what it is for the year, and we divide it by 12 to come up with their monthly price. So I do tell them there is a formula, and this is why it changes. The more they have me do, the more they, include, the more work there is. This is all reflective of the change because it includes my out-of-pocket costs. The same thing if you wanted to get, oh, you're welcome. I'll let go. So the same thing if you wanted to get custom with somebody, again, you don't have to pay attention to any of these on the front sheet. So we quoted the local Chamber of Commerce. And what we did with them is they said, here's what I've got now. So kind of like what we did there. Here's what I've got now. Here's what the current bookkeeper is giving me. So our three prices were the lowest is what they had, or sorry, I think that was actually the highest, what they had now, because again, they wanted us on site. They wanted us here. They wanted us there. But what we did is we then went an extra step, and we know that there's actually AR issues with them. You have to log on every single month and you have to put your credit card payment. They can't take an automatic payment. So because of that, it's hard to remember to do that. They don't have a system that automatically sends everything out and reminds people. So they have a lot, and they don't make those phone calls. So we included the Invoice Sherpa and the cost of us to manage Invoice Sherpa, which Invoice Sherpa is like $50 a month US right now. And I just threw in an hour a month for that. But they were paying for another system and they were writing stuff off or not collecting. So we could solve that pain point. So the second price I gave them was, here's what you've asked us for. Here's what we're proposing is to be viewed in QuickBooks Online, and we're going to take care of that pain point for you. Then the third price, we happened to know that they were with Ceridian Payroll. Because they didn't want everything in the same, because only certain people could log in. So then we came up with a different solution for them of keeping the payroll in there, which would have worked in a bit cheaper. So again, we didn't necessarily use this, but we got custom. And just by thinking, again, 1 point per hour, you can kind of go in and work anything out. So did anybody have any questions at this? Want to see any specific examples? Because I'm certainly happy to go in and work at an example. So feel free to take yourself off mute or type away in chat if you've got anything. All right, well, while we're waiting, let's kind of pop back in here then.
And then basically I started on the get started screen.
There we go. Oh, and let's catch myself up to where I was.
I did not set up a bank account. Because you don't get any direct deposit.
Sorry, almost there. Okay, so the Excel template that I demonstrated today is available for purchase, along with any other time-saving or many other time-saving templates at a limited time pricing. So as a special price, this is available for $99.99 Canadian. The price does include a single template installation with a lifetime license. Now, for $199.99, you can purchase a template as well as an individual session with me on how to price your clients. But honestly, go back, watch some of my past videos. I try to do different examples every time I talk, and watch some of them and just play with it, and you'll be able to figure it out. Now, I am working on an online app that should be launched by fall, as I said earlier, to be launched actually, hoping for next month. And to anybody who purchases a template, you're actually funding the cost of the online app, so you actually will receive a free lifetime subscription. We are looking at having it actually integrate with QBO down the road as well, so lots of big plans. So if you want more, you can check out our Bookkeeper's Corner page on my website and subscribe to my blog, and of course find future webinars and information on my newly launched Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp program. You can also find me on Facebook at my new group, Bookkeeper's Corner, which is a vendor and software neutral group, as well as I'm an admin within the QBO and Quinty group, which is dedicated to QBO and QBO compatible apps. So you can join both groups to collaborate and network with fellow industry professionals. And of course, you can enter a draw. So go to that website, www.cloudbookkeepingservices.ca/survey. Answer the survey and enter to win a draw for its important gift certificate. And I will go back and take a look and see, because I saw some questions that came in. So we'll do the questions, and then I'll just kind of leave this up at the end so that way you've got that. So let me go back and take a look at the questions. So will we be able to, let's see, will we receive a copy of the spreadsheet, or do you need to program your own? You can certainly, I've given you the formula. If you want to go ahead and program your own, absolutely. If not, again, you know, $99.99 will get you a lifetime license to be able to have this, to be able to just go in and grab it and use it. And will you be able to get access to the Excel file to use? Yep, it's already answered that question. And Sarah, I've just converted my company database completely from Sage 50 Accountant Desktop to QBO. It took over 20 hours to get everything in sync and use departments. How does this factor into pricing new clients who want to convert? It depends. So if you're looking at converting, I'd be interested, Sarah, to know how you did that. Did you do a manual, or first off, did you take advantage of the QBO automatic conversion and then there were just issues? I know Simply does not convert as well. Desktop converts beautifully, QuickBooks Desktop, because of course it's a QuickBooks compatible program. Simply, as far as I'm aware, probably converts in mostly as a journal entry. So you've got to take a look at what it is that they're doing. Some people do charge conversion fees. Some people don't. So use a supplier, vendor inventory, chart of accounts, import, export. Oh no, that would take a long time. So we do have access to a tool that Intuit will actually do the conversions for you. All you need to do then is just go in, pull your chart of account, pull your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement, and just make sure that they match up. And then, but no, it'll convert for you. You don't have to do all of that work, most definitely. There are times where you would have to do a lot of that work. I converted somebody from FreshBooks. I was the same thing. It was well over 20 hours. It was not friendly at all. I could not do a trial balance import. So it was not very friendly at all. So depending on the situation where you're pulling them from, definitely look at charging a conversion fee. It is standard for a lot of people that I know that charge $500 to $1,000 minimum for a conversion fee, because there is value in that. I have to go. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Nick. If there's any questions, Nick, feel free to reach out. You will all be getting a copy of the video afterwards. So back to Sarah with the question. So Yeah, so I don't charge for most of my conversions. I just include it as basically a sign up. I let them know the value that they're getting, that we'll do a free conversion as basically a sign up bonus that's, that we're offering for this year for any new clients you bring in or this month or whatever. So I use that continuing forward, again, depending on where they're coming from. If they are coming from QuickBooks Desktop, I do. If they are coming from anywhere else, I let them know I will only do that if we're doing a trial balance import. And that's it. Otherwise, I will charge because it's a pain, and I don't actually honestly like working with anything from that. So I would have to charge a fee that I'm happy with, just simply because I know it's such a pain. So definitely you should be looking at charging for that if you're not, if it's not definitely quick and easy, because it is valuable, absolutely. So I hope that answers your question. And then with that, it just seems to be a flat fee that's out there, but that's good to know that your file size, how long it took you to make sure that you're charging something, but take advantage. And I'll try to send, when we send it the links, I'll try to send it the link to the QuickBooks Online conversion tool, so that way everybody has it. All right, so was there any other questions at this point, Ben? I'll just give everybody a moment or two. So, of course, even after the webinar is done, like I say, feel free to reach out for questions and tag me in the groups, the QBO and Quinty or my Bookkeeper's Corner group. Bookkeeper's Corner, it's small right now. I think we're only sitting in just almost 100 people because we're just starting to it. Sarah, what are you looking for in your fourth new member of your team? We'll talk about that. Shoot me your phone number, because I don't know if I have where I put your card. I might still have it in front of me, but shoot me off your phone number and I'll give you a call. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I still have it here. I'll give you a call as soon as we're done on this one, Sarah, if you want. And we can talk about that in case you know somebody. Yep. Yes, oh, I know that. I know that. Sorry for everybody. Yeah, she just said she's my mother-in-law's neighbor. We met, it shows how small of a world it is. We met at IPBC. And I got the card, and it wasn't until after she had already left that I actually even looked at the card. I think it was when we got back, I looked at the card, and I'm like, that address is just 2 houses away from my mother-in-law's. Yeah, so it's funny how small of a world it is. So, and then Sarah and I, we've chatted several times on Facebook since. So anyway, that seems to be it for the questions. Again, if there's anything, reach out on the Facebook groups. I will send this webinar link out, so that way you've got everything. And yeah, again, feel free to reach out, and happy pricing. And I will call you in a few minutes, Sarah. Thanks for attending all. Have a great weekend. Bye.